Hey guys, Neil here, and today's video is going to be all about your personal finances. So this video is for you if you are employed or self-employed, and if you're not, you're a business owner or you're an investor. I'm going to do a video for you later on in the week, so make sure you're subscribed and you'll get that later on. So I'm not expecting this to be a viral video or anything like that. I just wanted to make this today for you because I'm seeing a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of mental health issues at the moment in the marketplace, in the job marketplace, and I just thought this might help out a lot of people to give some personal finance tips. I'm an investor, I have multiple businesses, so I'm going to give you all of my tips now, and I just really hope that they help you out. The statistics show that about 3.3 million Americans and 500,000 British people filed for welfare payments in the last week alone. So the one thing you do need to be aware of and be very cautious about right now is that there are going to be more job losses coming. There's going to be a lot more job losses coming. So I'm just going to break down what sectors I believe these job losses are going to come from in the next few months and where I don't think they're going to recover very quickly at all. So I'm a very logical businessman and investor, and I look at everything from a point of view of models and psychology. So I'm going to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs for this example, which is a very good model to understand human needs and emotions. So if we look at it from that point of view, what is the bottom tier of Maslow's hierarchy of need? Well, it's physiological needs. So what does that mean? Well, it means fundamental human needs like food, water, sleep, etc. So what does it not mean? Well, it doesn't mean restaurants, doesn't mean Pizza Hut, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Starbucks, pubs, movie theaters, bowling alleys, and of course, leisure and tourism. These, in my opinion, are going to be the hardest hit. Already we're seeing a complete close down pretty much of the leisure and tourism industry. Right now we're at about 95% across the Western world and across parts of Asia as well. So my advice is if you are in any of those sectors, I would personally start applying for other jobs outside of those sectors right away, like today. Because this sector is not going to come back for a long time. Even if the virus clears up today, it's still going to take a few months for the sector to recover. And also remember that the tourism and leisure sector are geographically staggered. So that means that you could have someone from, say, Italy that wants to come to the USA. Well, they're not going to be able to. You could have someone from the USA that wants to go and visit South Korea. Again, you're not going to be able to. So even though someone like China right now is out of the lockdown phase, but they're still in a sort of quarantine phase, going to visit them, you're still going to have to go into quarantine for 14 days. So no one really wants to do that if you are an employee or self-employed, because that's going to take away your holiday straight away and you're in quarantine. And the way you want to look at this is what is important and what's needed and what is not important and what isn't needed. So as an example, luxury stuff, leisure, travel, etc., that is not a requirement. That is not like a deep human need that you need to survive. It's a luxury. So what happens in recessions and depressions, things like luxuries, like travel and leisure, tourism, that's going to go straight away. It's just going to be completely cut out, and we're going to go back to fundamental human needs like food, water, accommodation. Unfortunately, most of my businesses are in the property sector. I'm also in the hospitality sector. I'll come on to that in a little bit. But just to summarize, those jobs in general are not going to be coming back anytime soon, especially where some of these companies have actually gone into administration. They've gone bankrupt. So those jobs now that have disappeared, you might think, oh, I'm just going to apply for another job. No, it's not going to be that easy because the pool of jobs has now shrunk right down. So you're going to have more people in the retail and the hospitality sector competing over the same amount of jobs. So what this is going to do is it's going to force down the wages in those sectors, because a lot of businesses, they're going to be squeezed themselves and they're going to be looking for the best employees for the lowest prices. I'm not saying this is a good thing, I'm just letting you know this is what's going to happen. So one tip around unemployment then, if you've been fired or you think you might be fired, or even if you've been furloughed and you're concerned about what's going to happen financially, one of the top things I would advise, there's nothing stopping you from filing right now for welfare payments, housing payments, anything like that. Yes, there's a big waiting list, I'm well aware, and the government system is oversubscribed right now. But you know what? If you've got a family to support, I would say just enroll onto that. It's not going to, cost you anything. No one's ever going to know that you did that. It's not going to affect future jobs for you. So that's one of the first things I'd recommend if you are really concerned or you've lost your job and you don't think you're going to be able to get another job easily. Next, onto your housing cost then. If you've got a mortgage and you're struggling, or you can't afford to pay your mortgage right now, the first thing I do is I would call up your mortgage lender, your bank, and I would let them know the situation that you're in right now and just ask them what they can do for you. So in the UK, mortgage lenders now are going to be deferring your mortgage payment for 3 months to help you out. But just be aware you're still going to have to pay the interest on that for those 3 months, but you won't have to pay the capital. So this will really help you out. And if you're a renter, your landlord has no obligation to help you out. However, if you've got a good relationship, you've got a good landlord, and they've got a mortgage, this is what I would ask. I would ask them if they can defer their mortgage payment so that they can defer your rent payment and help you out. Just offer to pay the interest again, and they should accept that. So that will help you out financially with your rent payments. And if you're thinking of buying a new house as a home, or you're thinking of investing into a property right now, I would personally say to wait. Just hold out for a few months, maybe 3 or 4 months. That's a good time, and just see what happens in the marketplace. Because if we do go into a recession, or if we even go into a deep depression, it's pretty certain that house prices are going to drop, and you do not want to be that person that purchased that house back in 2008. And really, just to back up my theory around this, mortgage lenders are now asking for a 40% down pay. Why would they do that? You've got to ask that question. Again, I'm a logical guy. I just apply common sense and logic to everything. So why would a bank or a mortgage lender be asking for a 40% down payment right now? Well, it's pretty obvious to me why. Because they're expecting, or at least they're predicting, or trying to protect themselves from a downturn in house prices. And then finally, just onto some personal finance, some real good old-fashioned advice here. The first thing I advise you do is to cut your outgoings. I know it's really simple advice, but I'm going to give you some tips now on actually what to cut down on. One of the guys that I would personally recommend you follow on YouTube is Dave Ramsey. He's an American guy. He's been doing this for a long time, decades now. He's really, really good at finance. It's mainly biblical based, but it doesn't matter what your faith is. It's really practical and just solid advice, and it will really help you out. So my first bit of advice then is to make a detailed spreadsheet and analysis of the income you've got coming in and what you're projecting to be coming in over the next 3 or 4 months. And then on the flip side of that, to look at all of your expenses. And I mean every last expense. Detail it down in a spreadsheet so you know exactly what you've got going out. That's the first thing you definitely need to do. And if you're not quite sure how to do that, I'm going to post a link below to the moneyadviceservice.org. It's a UK website, but it doesn't matter where you are. If you're in Australia, New Zealand, you're in America, you're in Canada, it makes no difference where you are. This is going to really help you out. I advise all of my clients, all my mentoring clients, to do this as well. It just gives you a really good baseline and foundation of how you're doing financially. So number 2 is to cut down on any subscriptions that you don't need right now. So whether that's magazines or newspapers, or even something in the leisure and tourism industry, might relate to something like that you are not going to be using for the next few months. I assure you of that. There's not going to be anything going on for the next few months. So you just want to look at your subscriptions, what you're not using, and see what can I cut down on right now. Number 3 is around food and drink and the like. Now, I get that a lot of restaurants and takeaways and things like that are not open right now, but they will reopen very soon. And my advice would be, if you can, I know you're going to be desperate to get that first burger or whatever it is for you, or pizza. After you've got over that initial craving phase, I would definitely recommend that you cut down on your food and drink cost, especially around takeaways and restaurants and the like. So that could mean cooking more at home. And again, it's really fun if you're looking for a new hobby. You could follow some cooking channels or things like that, and you'll save an absolute fortune on your food bill. It's estimated that you'll save around 75 to 80% of your food bill for the month by cooking at home. And by the way, this is not biased advice, because I'm in the hospitality sector myself, so this harms me to give this advice. But again, I'm making this video for you to help you with your personal finances. Okay, next, buy used products where you can. So a perfect example of this is a car. If you're thinking that you're about to go out and buy a new car, I'd probably say hold that purchase, because you're going to lose 20, 30, 40% of the value of the car as soon as you drive it off that forecourt. So just to give you an example from my life, I have a couple of cars. One of those cars is quite a luxury vehicle. It's a Jaguar. I didn't buy that car brand new. If I bought that brand new, 50, 60, 70,000 pounds maybe. But I bought that when it was a couple of years old. I went into the dealership and I asked them what they had as a used approved vehicle. They showed me around a few of the cars. and they were, you know, around 30, 40, 50,000 pounds, used and approved, for a couple of years old. But then there was this one beautiful silver car, and it was on the market for 16,000, and they said they couldn't sell it because it had a problem with the Bluetooth in the car and they couldn't fix it, and it also didn't have the front sensors, parking sensors. To me, I didn't really care about Bluetooth or parking sensors because I can just plug in a Bluetooth device. So it didn't really make any difference to me either way. And you know, I'm a good parker. I grew up without parking sensors, so it didn't bother me at all. So I got my car, which most people think I've spent like 70, 80,000 pounds on, for only 15,000 pounds. So that's an example of just saving money with used items. Now, I get that you can't buy everything used, but where you can, definitely go ahead and do that, and you'll save a lot of money. Leading on from that is branded versus unbranded products. So one of the biggest wastes of money that I always talk about is designer goods. I honestly don't buy any designer goods. I don't wear designer clothes or anything like that because I just don't think it's a good use of my money and my equity. And the same applies to food and grocery shopping and the like. When I did some consultancy work for a supermarket years ago when I was doing some sales training, one of the buyers told me something really shocking that's always stuck with me. And they said, "Neil, when you look at these two products," and I think they were like cookies or something like that. They said, "What do you think the difference is between this branded pack of cookies here and this unbranded pack of cookies here?" And I was like, "Well, that's probably much better quality. It's going to taste a lot better, blah, blah, blah." And she was like, "Okay, let me give you one of each." So she took one of each, and then I had to close my eyes and eat these cookies. And you know what? I couldn't taste any difference. And I said, "I can't actually taste any difference. What's the difference?" And she said, "There is no difference. They're made in the same factory by the same manufacturer. We buy them in bulk. We put our own brand on, the supermarket brand, and we sell them side by side at half the price of the other." Now, I'm not saying that applies for all products, but it's definitely something for you to consider when you do your next shop, because it probably will save you a lot of money. Next, I'm going to come on to utility cost and the like. So that's your gas, your electric, whatever utilities you have coming in, internet. I was quite shocked a year ago when I moved into my new house and I got a massive heating bill for the year. It was ridiculous. So the first thing I did was I went onto a comparison website and I changed my utilities, all my utilities for the property, and I was absolutely shocked that I saved 45% on my utility bills for the year. And that was just from product switching, and then I made some improvements to the house to bring the energy cost down as well. So I definitely advise looking into your utility costs and doing a product switch. And the same with your cell phone or your mobile phone. I used to have a huge mobile phone bill. It's about £50 a month. A lot of my clients as well, they have 50, 60, some £70 a month. I definitely look at those. Mine now, I have a maximum tariff, so it's unlimited, and I pay just £15 a month. It's with a supermarket cell phone provider, which at first I thought to myself, why would I ever go to a supermarket cell phone provider? But again, what I found out, much like the branded and unbranded, is that the supermarkets actually use the same cell towers as the branded company. So again, no one's ever going to know that your network's with a supermarket, and it will cost you probably anywhere from half the price to down to a quarter of the price. So definitely get that switched over if you're not into a fixed term contract. And then my last tip is something that my wife and I do every year when we have a spring clean, is to look at all the items in your house that you haven't used for the last year. Just get all those items, pile them up, or put them in your garage or whatever. And then you just want to have a massive yard sale, car boot sale, whatever it is for your country, and just get rid of all those products. And a couple of years ago, we did this in Southern California, and we raised just under $2,000 again. So honestly, all this stuff is not worth hanging on to. It just zaps your mental energy as well. Just get it in a yard sale or whatever, car boot sale, and just get rid of it, sell it, and use the cash, get that money. So just to summarize then, to give you a little bit of hope around the current economic conditions, I personally don't think this is going to go on forever. But at the same time, I do think it could go on for 6 months. I just want to be honest with you. That's my prediction, my forecast. I think it's going to go on for about 6 months. At the earliest, I don't think this is going to be resolved within the next 3 months. I really don't. So prepare for 3 months, maybe 4 months before things start to normalize a little more. But things are not going to normalize for at least 6 months, in my opinion. Could even be 7 or 8 months before things start to get back to normal. So thanks again. I hope this video really helped you. Please leave your comments, any tips that you've got, in the comments section below. I read all the comments and I try to reply to as many as I possibly can. And please, if this helped you in any way, make sure to click the like button. I really appreciate that. I hope you're subscribed If not, make sure you're subscribed and you'll get more of these videos as soon as I release them. But until next time, stay safe. See you soon.